The San Jose Sharks have added a bunch of new players to their prospect pool after completing day 2 of the NHL Draft. We'll get to know all the new players, plus my final thoughts on the Sharks draft on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now and Inside the Rink. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly a part of the Locked On Network, where we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everyday, all you got to do, follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, the last of the road trip episodes heading home tomorrow. And then we'll be back to normal for Saturday with free agent frenzy on Saturday. But the Sharks, before we get into free agency and all that fun stuff, the Sharks made their day 2 selections from picks the 2nd through the 7th round in the NHL Draft. So we're going to get to know some of the new players, kind of look at their stats, kind of what some of the tracking data says about them, and some of their quick hits of their elite prospect bios. But before we get into all that, today's episode is brought to you guys by eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicles. So for the parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So the Sharks, very successful first round in adding Will Smith and Quentin Musty. And there was some interesting players that they selected today. I think the gem of the second day is Luca Cagnoni, who we'll talk about with all the defensemen in the middle segment. But they did add some intriguing forwards as well. And some guys you saw kind of a departure from the recent, a little bit smaller players. All the Sharks forwards that they drafted today are some big boys, and most of them are kind of going through the USHL or, going through the college route, giving the Sharks a little bit more time with their runway and their development, which is an interesting strategy where you don't have to kind of make a decision on these guys right away when you do with some of the like OHL guys or the CHL or anybody in the CHL. These guys, you have a little bit more runway with them for when you want to sign them. So, and in the European players, again, you have kind of a little bit longer runway to sign them. So interesting to, kind of see that strategy of kind of thinking that far ahead of letting these guys kind of play out. That way you're not just signing some guys to, maybe signing them before you want to, or seeing kind of how their development plays out a little bit more. But let us start with the Sharks' first pick of the second round, Casper Halton. He's played in the last season in the HIFK U20 in that league. So he played in the junior league, and he also played in the men's league. Didn't do very much in the men's league. I think he had 1 assist in a lot of games, actually. But in the under 20, he dominated scoring. 18 games at 18 goals and 6 assists. And looking at his tracking data, he shoots a lot. And that is about it for him. In 10 games tracked, his shooting and his expected goals per 60, okay, shots per 60, high up there, slot passes, accuracy, high up there, but everything else, he either didn't do very much of, or when he did it, it was very, very poor. But he does have some size, which is, again, from the Sharks' perspective of having drafted so many kind of smaller forwards, trying to add some bulk up front. He is 6'3", 207-pound right-handed shot. He plays right wing. He entered the season from elite prospects, entered the season as a first-round talent off the back of a great draft -1 season between his league and international play, but struggled to find his place after making the jump to HIFK. Hopes to establish himself against men. At the U20, he scored at a goal per game clip, but only managed a single assist in 27 Liga games. And despite his high-level scoring, even his U20 league play left a lot to be desired on most nights. He did cap off the season on a strong note, playing arguably his best hockey this season at the U18s. There's no denying Halttunen's ability to rip the puck. He's got a one-timer from the left wall. Power plays can be built around even at the next level, and he's not shy about using it, surpassing 15 shots on goal in multiple occasions this season. There's attainable middle six upside as a goal scorer, power forward for Halton, but a significant risk of going bust, which drops him down their board. So Halttunen is very much a boom or bust type of guy where he is either going to be playing in the NHL as one of the kind of top, maybe like middle six guy, power play guy type of players, or he is just not going to, you're never going to hear from him again. So interesting to see with him. From talking to some people, it sounds like he could be a potential coming over to the OHL and playing for the London Knights own his rights. So maybe giving him a season to play in, junior hockey and really kind of try to dominate there like he did in the U20s, and maybe that might be the route for him type of situation. But that's kind of the skinny on him. So just another guy who can, again, the Sharks don't have a lot of pure goal scorers, and that is one thing he can do. He's got to work on the rest of his game, but the dude can shoot and the dude can score. And there are places in the NHL for guys like that. Next, of course, the Sharks with their third round pick, they drafted Brandon Svoboda. Brandon Svoboda is a center playing for Youngstown. 59 games for them. He has 16 goals, 10 assists, 84 shots on goal. He is another, you're going to see a trend here with some of these players, another big guy, 6'2", 190 right-handed shots. So again, I need some more right-handed shots to the prospect pool. Looking at his tracking data, his defense is actually really solid. He's 65 percentile, 55 percentile offense, 77 percentile transition, defensively 87th percentile. Really good at retrieving the puck and kind of winning those battles. He, especially in the offensive zone, is solid transitionally, has some great, some good passing sets as well. Kind of seemed like a pretty positive player. Needs to work on his, getting the puck from the middle to the from the boards, like winning those board battles and then getting it to the middle. But there's some potential here with him. So Svoboda, some of the plays he pulls off are complex passes that require vision, confidence, and manipulation the defender to create the lane. He also has a powerful outside leg wrister, narrowing his stance and putting his body weight behind the shot. At this stage, it's hard to project Svoboda to the NHL. He's just so raw. He lacks puck protection ability, failing to embody positioning and keeping defenders on his back. Underdeveloped edges fail him when pressure. Decisions don't occur fast enough. He lacks quickness as a skater, and he's not especially adaptable, given that Svoboda is a long-term projection, but with clear NHL abilities, perhaps a patient defensive development-focused team could nab a capable bottom six forward. So that's kind of what he is, projected to be. He's also going to be, another one of those college route players. I'm going to be going to Boston University. We'll be going back to Youngstown next season. I did ask him that. So he'll be going back to Youngstown next season, and then he'll, in the 24-25 season is when he'll make his be a freshman. So he is definitely a long-term project for the Sharks, but, could be one of those cheap kind of bottom six type of guys. And, especially when if you're thinking that far ahead, you're going to start to have some expensive pieces in the guys like Eklund or Will Smith, et cetera, et cetera. You need these young, cheap players who can be effective in your bottom six while you're paying your top stars kind of those big contracts. You don't want to be paying your Barclay Goodrows 6 years at $3.6 million. So before we continue, we start looking at all the defensemen. Luca Cagnoni, who feels like an absolute steal potential for the Sharks at the 4th round. Do need to take a quick break. Talk to you guys about our friends over at Athletic Greens. And we know right now is summertime. You're trying to get back and, being your healthy self, maintaining that active lifestyle. What better way to, enjoy the day, enjoy those new exercise habits by adding a daily dose of nutritional insurance in the form of AG1. With one delicious scoop of AG1 and a glass of water each day, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens to help start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all the things. It's also lifestyle friendly. So if you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, AG1 contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or anything artificial, while still tasting good. I think it has a nice little dark chocolate aftertaste. And it also helps support better sleep quality, recovery, mental clarity, and alertness. So right now it's time to reclaim your health, arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with first purchase. All you have to do, visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, so I thought the Sharks were going to be picking a defenseman, especially with one of their first 3 picks. They did not. They waited until the 4th round, picking one with their first defenseman being Luca Cagnoni. So I did a profile of Luca Cagnoni with Daniel G. I thought he could be a potential second round, beginning of the second round type of guy. Sharks got him in the 4th round. So this feels like potential steal. 2023 4th round pick had 67 games, had 17 goals, 47 assists, 243 shots on goal. This year is a little bit short, right? 5'9", 5'10", depending on where you see. 172-pound defenseman, a left-handed. Yes, I know, more left-handed defenseman, but in the 4th round, the value here is just too good to pass up, and he is going to be either with these small defensemen, right? It's either they don't make it, which is fine, or they are good. Like there's no kind of in between with these guys. So coupling dynamic edge work with proactive activation, Cagnoni dissects the forecheck. He shifts one way, explodes in the opposite, hits an open teammate, then flies up the rink to become a lead pass option. Every one of his puck touches builds off the previous, creating further time and space in the rink. In the offensive zone, Cagnoni controls the game. He's a volume shooter, but rarely takes a poor one. He starts and finishes passing plays, fake shots to set up teammates and around the slot. Lateral movement pulls defenders to the perimeter, creating space to attack the inside and vice versa. David St. Louis says Cagnoni is now a legitimately strong defensive player at this level. Good gap in the neutral zone, helped by his skating, anticipates rotations of the defensive zone, closes on opponents quickly, and gets his stick in the right lanes and effective angling techniques. I also see him using his body to knock opponents off the puck. Sign me up for that. So looking at his tracking data here, glorious. 90th percentile player, 95% offense, 84 percentile transition, 55 percentile defensively. Goals per 60, okay. Shots per 60, okay. The passing, slot passing per 60, and it is A1 passing, so it's beautiful, glorious passing. Amazing. His transition game, like if he is just your transition defenseman, getting the puck from your defensive zone to your offensive zone, sweet. Let's go. Let's ride. control entry is per 60 out off the charts, like transition success, great. Even the miscellaneous stuff, like boards to middle place, like winning those puck battles and getting them into those prime spots, advantages. Like when he is on the ice, good things happen for the players around him. I know the Winterhawks are a good team, but he's one of these guys that he's quickly going to become a fan favorite, because he wasn't drafted in the WHL and has worked his way up to become becoming a NHL draft pick. And I think there's gonna be a chip on his shoulder for kind of falling into the 4th round. So Cagnoni, love this pick for the Sharks. Axel Landen, who they got in the 5th round, played in Sweden, the HV71J20 team, had 44 games, 10 goals, 6 assists. If you love murder children, here's your new Swedish murder child. So his stats are okay. In his 8 games tracked, they're pretty much kind of right down the middle. Nothing really his controlled entries and percentage, not that great. It's okay. Looking at his scouting report, so 6 foot wide, 183-pound defenseman, right-handed shot. Physically, he is already among the more dominant presences at the J20 level. He chose violence almost every shift, whether it was by throwing hits on the open ice or pressuring opponents along the board. Whilst the defensive game still needs some cleaning up related to his positioning and reads, his competence and management situations will be instantly translatable. European scout Axel Landen pointed out in a game report, the tools aren't that noteworthy, but he's physically active, engages in battles with purpose, has a solid understanding of how to gain leverage and establish body positioning and pin players down along the board. So here is your new Swedish murder child. So again, just taking a swing on these, you're kind of seeing, these he's not the biggest guy, but very physical defenseman who's probably projecting, if he makes the NHL, as like a bottom pairing guy, defensive guy who's very physical type of player. So and then with the last defenseman that the Sharks picked in the 5th round, Erik Pohlkamp, 2023 5th round pick, played for Cedar Rapids in the USHL, 59 games, 16 goals, 35 assists, 179 shots on goal. And looking at his transition stuff, pretty impressive. Dude shoots. Expected goals per 60, shots per 60, way up there in the 7 games tracked. Offense, he was 83rd percentile, 46th percentile in transition, 86th percentile defensively. He's defensively, he's good at kind of keeping plays from happening or keeping the puck from getting into the zone. Needs to work on kind of the board battles in his own end and kind of being the guy who wins those puck races. But the guy shoots, and he's 5'11", but 205, so he is a very stout player. Actually, the reigning USHL Defender of the Year. His value comes from 2 forms: his high impact shots and even higher impact hits. So another murder child. His power beats goaltenders across the net, even from the point on the power play. He builds play from unwinding, drawing pressure towards himself, passing, then relocating for the one-timer. When play comes back the other way, Pohlkamp defends a rush like an NHLer. Tight gap on and off the puck. Poke checks time just as opponent exposes the puck. And then quiet footwork with thunderous hits. Deep in the zone, he steers, attacks the outside, then traps the opponent along the board. A proactive off-puck defender too. To translate both of these abilities, Pohlkamp will need to improve his skating. Despite mechanical soundness, he's sluggish and beatable with speed. So like I said, he kind of winning those board battles. But you can work on your skating and try to improve your speed a little bit. He will be going the college route, playing for it was some weird school name. He's playing in Minnesota, I know. So but yeah, also another NCAA player. So, but I think there's something there, right? Dude can shoot, and he sounds like he is a physical defender. Needs to work on his speed going forward. So, before we finish up with the last 2 picks and discuss, kind of give you my thoughts on the draft and what I thought of it, do want to let you guys take a quick break. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. we do cover your team every day here at the Locked On Network. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you got to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. We'll be back on a special Saturday episode where we're going to react to the first day of free agency, whether the Shark signings, trades, whatever happens that day. We will have an episode that evening, kind of reacting to everything going on. And then next week, we will start kind of picking up the pieces of what has been for the Sharks over this past week, and kind of diving deeper into the prospects, looking at diving deeper into whoever the Sharks sign, and kind of start shifting ahead to what's going to be coming with the new season. Kind of going to be coming down the corner, and then plus development camp next week as well. So plenty of stuff coming up here at Locked On Sharks. Again, just make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts, or again, watch on YouTube as well. So with the final two picks, the Sharks grabbed one with the first pick in the 7th round. They grabbed David Klee out of Waterloo in the USHL. 57 games, had 3 goals, 10 assists with 53 shots on goal. Numbers don't look very impressive, but he was averaging like less than 10 minutes a game on a very good team. So one of those guys who maybe once he gets a little bit more, more opportunity, could be able to start, adding to that. So his tracking numbers, again, are not pretty, just because of the very, very limited ice time. In 8 games, he had less than 70 minutes played. So that's less than, 10 minutes a game. That's less than 9 minutes a game, or about 9 minutes a game type of situation, like not playing at all type of things. So kind of hard to kind of find your game when you're playing less than 9 minutes a game. But the 6'3", 187-pound left wing, left-handed shot, does have some skills in there. So look no further than Klee's hands. He just does have a toe drag. He reads his opponent's feet and goes in the opposite direction, and then skates back into the space to prevent the reach around. In spurts, he creates chances by feathering a backhand pass through an opponent or slipping around. Klee's skating and rush developments limit his offensive opportunities at the stage. Straight line skill, speed rushes are common way that he turns over the puck before gaining the zone. But this season, when a loss caused by enemy, his defense improved throughout the season to the point where it's likely a strength with pressure and anticipation. With Klee's commitment to North Dakota, another season in the USHL where he gets the opportunity to develop his offensive skills that should bear priority. So something there. Again, a lot of these guys here, especially this late, they're flyers. You're hoping that they kind of work out type of situations. So, and especially with these college guys, you're not expecting to see anything probably good 5 year, for a guy like Klee, who's going to be another year in the USHL, and then you're probably looking at 4 years in college. Like he's not signing for 5 years type of players. So, yeah. And then finally, the Sharks drafted Igor Rimashevsky. 29 games. He had 13 goals and 13 assists on 90 shots in the MHK Dynamo in the MHL. His tracking data is not great. He played 5 games. He had about in 69 minutes. It's all red. It's all bad. His scouting report has one of my favorites things. It's the 6'3", 198-pound left winger, left-handed shot. To say he cheated for offense would be an understatement. Rimashevsky often started his court towards the opponent's end before his team even had regained possession of the puck. His early breakouts were a way for him to manage his main weakness, his skating ability. Rimashevsky needed to move ahead of the play to create scoring chances for himself. When he couldn't gain a momentum advantage, he relied on his off-puck instincts, one of the more developed aspects of the game, capable of anticipating the flow of the game and positioning himself well to support. He got many shooting chances from the slot this season, and at his best, he turned into a decent playmaker himself. So who knows? This could be one of those guys the Sharks draft, and you just never ever see type of player. So, but yeah, so that is kind of at least a guideline of everybody. So kind of my favorite, I think for the Sharks, though, you have to feel really good that you've got Will Smith, you have Quentin Musty. I think those two guys are kind of going to be the meat of this draft here. And then, there's some interesting there's definitely some interesting players for the Sharks here. Like it is not, there's some guys who could potentially pop. As I think of a guy like Halttunen, right? The shot is there and you can work around him, work around that shot, work with those games. And if he basically just becomes a power play specialist who's bombing shots for you, like there's a role for him type of thing. And, some of these guys like Svoboda, Klee, some of these forwards where they're kind of big and those are going to be your fourth line type of guys who, hopefully effective, cheap contracts that you can that way you can spend your money on your top players type of things. So, and again, these guys have long runways to develop, right? You don't have to make decisions on these guys right away type of thing, right? It's not like a Max McHugh where you have 2 years, you got to decide, okay, do we want to kind of commit to this guy for the next 3 seasons? You have a bit of a runway with some of these guys, but I think though, not counting Musty and Smith, I think Luca Cagnoni in the 4th round is easily my favorite pick of the draft. Getting a guy who has borderline first round, beginning of 2nd round talent in the 4th round. And like I said, he's going to be one of those guys who's either going to be a very good NHLer or he's not going to be at all. But taking a swing on a talent like that in the 4th round, yes, I know we see much more, bigger defensemen, all that fun stuff, but there is space for guys like Cagnoni in the league. And, the Sharks they've added some big pieces on the back end. And I think having a guy like Cagnoni to kind of help break that up and be that transition, like he has a pathway to a role for the Sharks going forward. And I think he's got that kind of chip on his shoulder and that drive to continue to improve and get better and, and kind of prove the doubters wrong, especially for a guy who's 5'9" and he plays bigger than he actually is. And I think the Cagnoni pick is an absolute potential home run for the Sharks where, one of those, how did he get to there type of guy. So you have, looking in the draft, right, you have Will Smith, who is going to be your 1C. And then you have Musty, who has that profile of a how did he fall to here type of guy. And you have another one of those in Luca Cagnoni's type of player. So you're starting to see Mike Grier's vision of what he wants his team to be. Skilled players, there is a lot of skill in this draft class, right? Smith and Musty and Cagnoni and these other guys, they do have roles and they do have skills. And I think even like a guy like Pohlkamp, who, there is some scoring ability there. And the dude has potential to be a fan favorite as a guy who, plays physical and can also chip in some scoring as well. So, little disappointing that the Sharks didn't walk away with a goalie. They talked about that where they, it kind of matching up where they were and where the pockets were, just kind of felt like they just missed out. I know trading up. It felt like they were potentially going to get one there at 71. But I think they've added some pieces into the goaltending pipeline, and I think they will continue to kind of turn over every stone to try to add some long-term pieces to the pipeline as well. And look at, there's always next year's draft, right? You can continue to draft guys. It's not like none of these goalies they get drafted now is going to be making an impact for the Sharks next year type of players. So, but yeah, the draft though, amazing time in Nashville, super fun. The city, great city, just an absolute blast. It was great to meet all these people that I, have chatted with and stuff, and just hang out and, enjoy the kind of the experience. So, amazing time in Nashville. And I can't wait to do it again next year. So, wouldn't be here though if it wasn't for you guys. So, thank you guys for all the support, reading all the articles, downloading, watching the show, giving those reviews, helping to spread the word. It means a lot to me. And this week kind of felt like one of those moments where it's like you have these times where you just kind of step back and realize like, wow, I'm here. I'm actually here, and it's because of you guys' support. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being along for the ride. And yeah, so let's get out of here. It's been a long week. Follow the show wherever you get podcasts. I'll watch on YouTube. Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. And until Saturday, bye, friends.